So, hello everybody, and welcome to the Magical New Beginnings podcast. My name is Sharon King, and I am super delighted to be joined by Sean McCann. Welcome, Sean.
Hi there. I'm glad to be here. And it's a delight. You were on my show and um, it was healing and wonderful. And I was so happy to meet you. And I'm glad that you invited me to this show today. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very, very welcome. And I can't wait to get stuck in to what our topic we're going to be talking about today. So, those of you that follow me on Facebook will know that one of my passions is working with and healing birth trauma, but it's also what happens to children, babies after birth. That's also one of my passions. And that is when little boys get circumcised and the complete damage that that does to the baby, to the child, and follow on to the adult. So, Sean, you describe yourself as an intactivist, is that right?
Yes, that's right. That's the word we like to use. We like to promote the term intact rather than
Mm-hmm.
uncircumcised because
Mm-hmm.
that circumcised and uncircumcised would it, it implies that circumcised is the norm, which it obviously is not. We're not born that way.
No.
So yeah, intact is an intactivist has a nice ring to it, and that's what they've been using. And so I put my name among the many others that also call themselves intactivists.
Beautiful. Yeah. And you're also a father, so I'm guessing
Yes.
you have a son, yes?
Yes, he's a son and he is intact for sure. And um, his mom, if she didn't agree with me to keep him intact, she would have stole him away and not let me anywhere near him. So, but
Wow.
it's not like, but before we got together, this is
You've
one of the
discussed
things.
it.
Yeah, well, this is just one of those, she's an anarchist as well. And we talk about sovereignty and
Mm-hmm.
self-ownership. And, uh, so this is a topic that we've talked about and we're both vehemently opposed to the practice of circumcision. And so that's one of the ways that we bond. Actually, she's proud of my activism. So I'm glad to keep doing it, not just because of her, but I mean, I'm just saying that we're on the same page in that.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you're also a podcast host, and the podcast is called Wake the Dead.
That's right. Yes.
That's a pretty good name. How did you come up with that?
Well, I was learning about the occult and how the many occultists call common people the dead. That's their term for them because they don't have an awakened consciousness. They
Mm-hmm.
are just stumbling. They're basically dead already, even though they're walking around and have a heartbeat. So I wake the dead is my mission to bring them to understanding, or at least to help, do my part.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I chose.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, circumcision is one of those subjects that a lot of people have very strong opinions about, and those that are for having their baby circumcised don't really want to hear the negative sides on the effects that it can have mentally, physically, and emotionally on the child and the adult. So I guess my first question is going to be, Sean, why are you so passionate about this subject?
Well, it happened to me. So I'm reminded every time I urinate,
Mm,
it's I can't get away from it. It's not uh and it affected me a lot. And when I was younger, I would think, no, I'm fine. It's great, you know. And I have been doing uh, searching within myself and learning myself and understanding why I act the way I do and why, what the hell is wrong with me, basically. And it keeps, I find it there a lot as reason. It's one of the deepest parts of me, and it the trauma from it happened so young within me that it's like, is that my personality? Is that my, am I made that way? Because so like this is why I've been trying to understand.
Mm.
And just like if I see a baby tied down to a circumstraint, like the board that they tie them down to,
Mhm. Mhm.
I'll start crying just seeing that. Uh, and like I'll follow other intactivists like Bloodstained Men and Your Whole Baby and they'll share pictures. It's pretty ruthless some of the stuff they share, but I mean it's true. It's all the
Yeah.
reality. And like one time my phone was on and my son, who was like 5 maybe when this happened, saw my phone and he saw the baby strapped down and he knows all about. I told him ever since the beginning. He calls it the stretchy thing. He doesn't know the proper terminology. He's young, but um, he knows that I care about that and that we would never do that to him, and he understands that it's wrong, already. But then he saw the picture,
Mhm.
and I saw his reaction, and they're like, "Wow, they have to tie him down like that?" I said, "Yeah, yeah." And he said, "Whoa, that's and I was like, "I know, buddy." I know. And it was just baby fully clothed, tied down. That's it. There was no cutting in the picture. And like now at 5 or 6, now he has a mind that can comprehend what what it is, at least what the tying down part is.
Mhm.
And the
Mhm.
stretchy thing gets taken off somehow. He doesn't really know, but um that's the same that's the same brain and the same body that he was when he was the size of my hand, almost, like a little bigger. And he would react the same way then if he had the conscious mind to do so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's his body. Uh anyway, so I don't want to go on a rant, but this uh it's I want other people to know. I mean, it is kind of a trauma just to know what has been done.
Yes.
And that's why other dads don't, or other men don't want to talk about it. Like, no, it's fine. Nope, 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 don't, no. Because then they'd have to recognize that they were traumatized
Yes.
and how horrific that is. And like
Mhm.
for me to realize like what happened, like uh it's taken a while to come to terms. I'm never gonna get over it, no matter what my mom wanted me to do. Or she told me just get over it, which was more trauma because I want her to recognize what she
Yes.
did.
Yeah. Your
um,
your trauma has not been validated by your mum.
right. And
Uh,
then she took 3 jabs and now she's gone. And it will never be validated.
mm.
Before she left, I asked her specifically when we were talking about this, and she was like, no, don't. Oh, that hurts. She didn't want to hear it either, obviously, because she doesn't want to be the mom who harmed her baby. She doesn't. I didn't know. Not trauma. No, get over it. Get over it. Other people do. What's your problem? don't hurt me with your words. And basically that's what it was. And she was accusing me of violating her with
Yes.
words.
Hmm.
And we were talking like this over the internet. And I was living in another state. She was back home, and she was uh, sick, and I was probably never going to see her again. And I knew that. I was only going to see her through these, internet. And I asked her straight up. I was like, "Who is the bad guy?" Basically, I'm paraphrasing. Who's the bad guy? Is it me for talking to you about this, or is it you for asking someone to tie me down and cut off part of my body? And she said, you're hurting me. And I yelled, "Fuck you." I'm sorry. I yelled the F word at her. And I regret that because she's gone now. But I couldn't control it. Uh, I do a lot of yelling. I found that's part of me. I
Yeah,
have.
there's a lot of anger and rage that
Hmm.
that that comes out because of this trauma that men have experienced. And quite often, I find when I work with men who have had this experience is that there is such rage against the mother, which then translates into the rage for their partner.
Hmm.
And this also tends to come out a lot when their partner is pregnant, because it's
Wow.
like their, or even, given birth, it's like their circumcision trauma gets reactivated.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Because, they're witnessing their baby being born, and maybe they've chosen to do the same thing to their sons. But that trauma, even though you don't consciously remember, it's still recorded in there. And the anger and the rage, because what women do not, I don't believe that women are educated enough and to know exactly the procedure that happens to their babies. And
That's by
if,
design. But
I
yeah,
know,
please. Yeah.
but if they did know, would they make that same choice? If they had to stand there and watch their baby boy being strapped down, fully conscious, no pain relief, having that most private part of their body, and it's not just a simple cut. I'm not even not going to go into too much details about how it's done, but it is, babies feel pain like, I can't remember how many times
3 times.
more, 3 times more
Yeah.
intense than adults do. So it's like, imagine having your fingernails pulled out. It's just like,
Right.
it's anyway.
That's true. That's right. The way that the fingernail is fused to the nail bed, that is the same way that the prepuce is fused to the glands on
Yes.
the baby. And people think that, oh, I mean, people erroneously think that babies don't feel pain. Oh, he cries when he has a diaper. Oh, he cries when he has a circumcision. Meh, he fell asleep when he was circumcised. Oh, no problem.
Mm.
I
Don't
mean,
worry, he won't remember it.
yeah, right. Yeah. And the falling asleep was because he probably passed out because he couldn't breathe because like he's over hyperventilating. You know what I mean? Like because of the
Well,
pain.
they've
Yeah.
actually proven, because they did tests, they put scanners on the brain before,
Right.
during, and afterwards, and they actually find that the whole of the brain just lights up and goes dark. It shuts down. There's no lights on because the baby's gone into extreme shock response.
Right.
And then even 3 weeks later, the brain still doesn't come back fully online.
They tested it after 3 weeks too.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
6 months, years. It never
Yes.
went back to baseline. It
No,
never went back.
no.
And that's the real thing. That's really what I mean. I so like I'm an anarchist, and I care about human freedom, you know, and so I pay attention to the evil ones who are enslaving the world, and I recognize that removing the foreskin of a baby, uh, like it damages the function of the organ. Sure.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
But what they really want is the brain effects, the effects of the
Yes.
on the brain of that baby, because that will last till they're an adult, until they start voting, till they get drafted,
Hmm.
till they become another cog in the machine
Yes.
of statism and slavery. So that's another reason why I'm so vehemently against this, because I mean, I don't care if people circumcise, just like let the adult choose to circumcise his own body. I don't care if
Yes.
everybody's circumcised. I don't care. I'm not gonna touch them or do anything with it. I mean, it's your body, your choice, as they say. But that's again, it's the baby's body. And there's this
Yes.
perception that the Satanists that are running things, they tell the women, it's up to you to choose. It's your baby. Like, sorry guys, but no, like it's your body that's housing the baby for the moment, but the baby has his own soul, and like there's all these layers of illusion that
Hmm.
it's just like people are wrapped like mummies in all of these lies. And they're, like you said, if a mom could go in there and see, they don't let the mom in there. That's not allowed, because they know that she would, like, they know. And it's that motherly instinct of protect my baby, I love my baby, that they want the mother to choose willingly to go against.
Yes.
Once she does that, then she's fully enslaved. That's proof. And it's the same way since ancient Babylon. They would have their sex orgy rituals, and they would have all, and the the child sacrifice was their crowd control, like population control, right?
Yes.
And that was happening for like Carthage. There was rich people would buy poor babies to sacrifice them, just because oh, it's Saturday, got to make another sacrifice to Tanit and Baal or whatever. So this, and the whole the whole scene was to go against the natural instinct of protect and love,
Yes.
where if the mother that sold the baby, if she cries, she doesn't get paid for the baby that she just sold. They all the people have to wear masks with this big smiley face, and they make these loud noises, these loud like clanging banging music to cover up the sound of the baby's crying. And as they're like feeding it to the fire of Moloch, the Moloch fires to Baal and Tanit. And so it's back then they had to do all this to make a mother go against her natural
Hmm.
protection. But now it's like, oh, your kid might masturbate when he's 12. Maybe you should chop it off. Oh, everybody else is, you don't like an anteater, do you? He might get lint in there. Ew. you know, that's all they have to say to a mom nowadays. And then they don't give her the informed consent, true informed consent. They never tell them that the baby could die. They often do.
And they often do, yes.
They bleed. They bleed
Yeah.
out completely. They have their full on, like their entire penis removed. Um, it is a horror show. Pretty much every cut is a botch. I have been botched. Like I, it's altered in a way that is harmful sometimes when I use it. um, it's tough to talk about. Like, wow. Like, but anyway, so like that's kind of like the human freedom angle and the mind control factor. and the satanic negation of God's will to love, like that is all involved in this topic of circumcision, you know.
Absolutely. You know, as we spoke about when I was on your podcast about the breaking the bond,
Yeah.
you know, that moment when, you know, the baby's handed over and then mum's not there, and then this excruciating pain is being levied on the baby. And then eventually, if the baby's lucky, it gets returned back to the mother.
Yeah.
But that loss of trust in the mother for allowing that to happen to them. You know, you may think I'm talking from an adult's mind, but from a baby's point of view, it's like it's a life and death situation, even just to be separated from your mum after birth, let alone having this immense pain, this well, it's torture. That's the word I'm
Yes.
looking for. It's torturous. That baby is
Right.
being tortured. Yeah. And it
Yeah.
creates so much disconnect in the brain, especially the emotional brain. And, you know, I was talking to a Jewish rabbi and he was on my course, you know, and he was agreeing with everything I was saying about birth trauma until I mentioned circumcision. And then it was like, well, no, you know, baby doesn't remember that, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you can be affected by your birth trauma, you can be affected by your circumcision trauma. So
Right.
I asked him, why? Why do you do this? And he said, because it makes men a better fighter.
That's what we need in society.
So this
Jeez.
is an Israeli Jewish
Right.
rabbi who has that belief. So in other words, they're breeding fighters. And then there was this lady on Facebook who was Jewish and had this done to her son, and basically telling me that all the most successful businessmen in the world have been circumcised.
Oh, because
Ooh.
they're not busy masturbating and drinking in the streets and the gutters, right? Yeah. That was the Victorian idea, like, and that, kind of in America, that was the trend.
Yes.
Rich people would get circumcised their babies because of oh, I'm protecting, oh, whatever. And rich people would also send their child off to boarding school, and another break from the mother.
Breaking the bond,
Yeah,
yes.
right. So, but so there was kind of a hypergamy to that, where
Mm,
women who want rich husbands will seek out the mutilated member, you know.
mm.
And also in America, like up in New England, it was like 80-90% circumcised, because that's where all the Boston Brahmins are, and all New York and Philadelphia and Washington and all the rich, politicians and all that crap. But then like in the frontier of the West, it's like very not much, not so much.
Mm.
So and that's where all the poor people are breaking the land, you know what I mean? So it does kind of track with the that whole, like, if you want to be rich successful, like that's because that's what she was told, because she is trained to seek out a mutilated man,
Mhm, mhm.
that's her own level of mind control.
Yeah, women, yes, but you're right. Women are very much my, programmed to believe that, you know, it looks better. Yeah,
And who are they to choose? I mean, if you don't like
exactly,
how it looks, maybe you don't like penises. I mean,
exactly.
like, what the hell? Come to terms with that. Don't mutilate the thing. Ugh. But then if you look at like Hollywood and what they do to their own faces, you know what I mean? They just chop it up and mutilate everything. Just
Hmm.
so, I mean, there's some really, and that again goes back to the Satanism, that if they can convince people to mutilate themselves, they have won. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like proof that
Hmm.
uh the psychosis has taken hold. And
Mm.
so they, it's like a sick joke for them to push that into our society. And now, like, the children that survive the circumcision, they grow up to chop the rest of it off and dress like a female, and because of the other all the other mind control, that's a
Yeah,
different
it's all
topic, I guess.
it's gone to a whole new level now, hasn't it? So
Right, but it's still
yes,
genital mutilation. It's
yes.
still for that same purpose, mind control or giving up of your identity. You know, the male's identity is so connected to that, and the
Mm.
virility of it, and um, it's.
What?
You mentioned the idea. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, no, go on, carry on.
I was going to say that you mentioned the IDF thing, and if you look at like Israel and America are like pro circumcision, you know, and then some of the Muslim countries and uh, Philippines, the Philippines are dominated by America, so that's all the Masons and stuff. Like the
Hmm.
Philip Morris owns the Philippines, it's crazy, but really, like the Judaism, the fictional country of Israel, the bankers' fiction of that domination that's happening over there, burning children. Uh, there's those people, and they dominate the America, the American uh, Pediatric Association, APA or whatever. That's
Hmm.
run by a Jewish guy. Even though they admit that there is no benefit to circumcision, they don't say that you shouldn't do it because they don't want to piss off the Jewish people, because it's a religious thing. But to them, like, words are malleable. Like, oh, Judaism is a religion. No, it's a race. No, it's a and it's like mutilating my baby. It's a religion. Oh, it's for science. Oh, it's for his hygiene. Like, okay, what is it really? It's for mind control, to make a better fighter, right? To make somebody who doesn't bond, who is
Yeah,
angry all the time.
and that can disconnect from pain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
compartmentalize,
this is where narcissism
dissociate.
comes in. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So what, Sean, wasn't it also the mark of a slave as well?
Yes, yes, indeed.
Talk about that.
Um, no one, no one in their right mind would allow someone else to chop off the most sensitive part of their body. That's that does not happen. Uh, and if you have been circumcised, that proves that you don't own your body. Someone else has done that to you because they can,
Hmm.
and you couldn't fight back.
Hmm.
So, so there's that. I mean, in Egypt, I guess some of the pharaohs used to like chop the tip a little bit just to like prove some manhood or something. But really the Yahweh cults of the Canaanites and the Phoenicians and the Carthage again, they when they vanquished their enemies, they would kill all the men and the babies too. They'd smash
Hmm.
them on rocks and steal the women and rape them. And if the men wanted to live, they had to agree to let the dominating army chop off their foreskin. So you're not allowed to have fun sex anymore. You're not allowed to feel these feelings anymore. And if you disagree, you die. Um, uh, Another is in battle when these uh, tribes of people, I don't know what to call them, the groups of people, when they would vanquish their enemies, they would they would cut the foreskin off and they would bring it home as a trophy.
Mm.
And they would, like, there are stories in the Bible about how in order to get a dowry for marrying a female, you have to bring her dad 1,000 foreskins. I mean, how sick is that? But so like, David and Goliath, when Goliath was beaten by David, David went and bit his foreskin off in front of everybody. Like it's a proof of I have dominated you.
Yeah.
So that goes along with the practice that the Jews do of the uh, the cutting, the ritual cutting that they do with the moil. It is it's basically it's a system of proving that they are a slave again and again. Every time there's a little boy in their family, they have to go and witness, and they have to hear the cries. The father holds down the arms, or the grandfather holds down the legs, and then some stranger, some hairy monster guy, comes in with a sharp thumbnail in front of everybody, just starts mutilating this baby, and the baby's crying. Everybody has to watch
Yeah.
and
Screaming.
screaming
Hmm.
and like nearly dying. And all the people witness this, and all the
Hmm.
men have that memory come up again.
Yeah.
And they are watching the priest of their religion suck the blood out of their baby, and they are letting it happen. So that is, again, that's proving that they are a total slave. They have no will of their own. They will, I mean, at least no natural will to love their baby. I mean, maybe the will that they do have is to comply, and which is no will at all, really, if it's someone else telling you what to do. So, in that sense, too, it is a mark of a slave. But if you, I mean, people can look it up online. Uh, that is what, if like in Rome and stuff, people were often naked, and it was a way to mark somebody as, like, you can't grow it back. I mean, they tried stretching, like some Jews tried to stretch, and the head Jew at the time got mad, and for that reason they take it all the way off. Before, they would just take a little bit, and it would like heal and still be extra skin, but not all the way to the front. But because some Jews were stretching and trying to pass as a Gentile, that pissed off the you know Pharisees or whoever, the Babylonian masters, and so now there it's I forget the term, starts with a P, but they fully remove all the way below the glands, just to so basically all the people in the Jewish religion are all slaves to their master, who it's a hierarchical system of obedience to a master. And just like the Catholic religion is, I'm a Roman Catholic. I Why did they do that to me? It's obviously not religious, but I mean, the mind control infiltrates, of course. But anyway, yeah, Jesus was circumcised, and he made a new law. So no one has to do that anymore. But this whole another mind control thing that's going around heavily is Judeo-Christian myth. The word with the hyphen, conflating the two. They are definitely separate. They are not the same. And the idea of, like, oh, we need to keep the old law, like, Jesus flipped those tables. I mean, these people are retarded, but they'll believe anything. So, especially when you traumatize somebody enough, they will believe anything. Uh,
Hmm.
they'll believe that my genitals are great and women love it, and women will believe that, oh, I love it and his genitals are great, when they don't even know what they're missing. Yeah. So I'll stop there, I guess. Sorry.
Well, we had a really good example of how that all works with the COVID debacle and, people turning on each other, the jab turning on the unjabbed and, wearing of the mask and all of that stuff. So if anybody's out there that's still not quite sure how mind control works, like that is a very good example. You traumatize people, you tell them that their life is in danger, and then you give them the solution. Oh, you're muted, my dear.
It doesn't matter what the truth is. They can read the box of masks that says does not protect from virus, and they put it on their face anyway.
Yeah.
So, the same, like you can tell a mom that, hey, it's trauma. And she says, nope, no, it's not. And the dad too. And the dad doesn't want to believe it. And mom thinks you're crazy and it's cleaner, but all these crap that they spew. And so it happens again and again. It's still happening. It's happening less now. And I went and got a bathing suit last year for my son. And we were just expecting to have to cut out the inside because a boy's bathing suit has this like mesh netting inside.
Okay. Yeah.
And the holes are kind of big enough where the little piece on the end of the prepuce, little skinny piece, can fit in there. And if they're not paying attention, they can yank their shorts down and it can really hurt.
Right.
So people have been complaining about it for years, but they don't change it because all the boys are circumcised. What do you mean? Like circumcised boys doesn't happen to. So
Right.
when I was a kid, it was like that in my swim trunks, and it had the mesh netting and I didn't notice any problems. But intact boys do have a problem. So we, bought the new swim trunks and okay, and I get the scissors and I get them home and I get the scissors and I go and I'm like, what? And they got a new mesh. It's like fine silk. There's no holes there. I'm like, it's changing. Like I cried. I told his mom, I was like, look at what they're doing. They're changing. It's changing. And it's slowly changing. Because you can't when you recognize what it is, you can't go back, can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Like the truth is the truth. It is trauma. It is
Yes.
harmful. And moms don't want to do that. Like in reality, you know, that's that moms like they want to learn from you to keep from doing that kind of thing. So
Absolutely. And then there's the subject that we could talk about is what happens to the foreskin after they've removed it from the baby.
well, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah.
They make vaccines with it. They make beauty products with it.
Mm-hmm.
The doctor gets paid an extra couple extra $100, and then the company that they ship it to gets paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for each one. Makes this fibroblast, this the stuff in the vaccines. So the vaccines that the people had to take, it had aborted fetus in there,
Mm-hmm.
and it had the the pain of the foreskins of babies too. They had death and pain
Yeah.
injected right in there. I mean, if
Exactly. Yeah. Death and torture pain. Yeah.
right, right,
Yeah. It really is a very, very sick, evil practice that
right,
just needs to, it's like just needs to go now.
right,
The people are waking up to the truth now. It's the same
right,
with, when a baby's born and they cut that umbilical cord within the first 10 seconds of the baby being born, and then they sell the cord blood because it's got all the really good stem cells and,
right,
the placenta, that all, the hospitals get paid for that too.
right.
It's like our earliest experience of organ harvesting. right there, right when
Yeah.
we're born.
Yeah. Of course they're going to do that though. I
Hmm.
mean, they're disgusting snakes. Like, ugh. So it, yeah. But the thing is that this practice can go away because they still need our consent.
Yes.
That is the key. We have to choose. Like, I mean, the baby can't choose. We are
Mm.
its steward. So
Yes.
we have to steward. We have to like guide it properly. So uh it's up to us to say no. And this is the I mean, like as an anarchist, I can't like go fight the government or some shit. You know what I mean? Like they've got guns, they're gonna come and do what they're gonna do. But
Hmm.
this right here, I can tell people with words, and some mother is gonna hear it someday, and she's gonna be like, "Oh my God, I
What did
want
I do?
I want to bond with my baby or their future baby, you know, like I
Hmm.
want
Hmm.
that actual bond. I want to have a real connection. I don't want to have like soy milk and all the crap, the epidural and whatever. Like then they can think consciously and then it will go away. It will just go away. I mean, I don't it's amazing that it's still here, but the fact that it's still here just proves how powerful that trauma programming is, that it's lasted this many generations. I mean, since ancient Babylon, you know, and this is now still, and they call it instead of calling it ritual sacrifice, they call it routine infant.
Yes.
It's instead of ritual, it's a routine. Oh, that's different. So, um, you know, it has evolved with the euphemisms, but it is the same thing. And once we recognize it, we can say no. And like that's a lot of the Satanism requires your consent.
Yes.
That's why all the mind control, that's why they put so much effort into the movies and the news and all that crap that they feed your brain because they want you to think lies and you can choose to like see the truths. You know, you don't have to just accept. And I mean, uh my mother was very fearful in her decision making. She used fear
Hmm.
as the indicator of what is best to do. And so she was a perfect, she was fell into every one of their traps, all
Yes.
that crap. And
But
she
not
promised
consciously.
no, no. She thought she was doing right and good.
Absolutely.
And you know, that's why I'm forgiving her slowly. But um she, you know, her ignorance was a choice. She
Hmm.
chose to be ignorant, and then she chose to follow the fear as the reason. So of course, if I was born to her, I would have to suffer this, you know, because there, I mean, at least she didn't give me ADHD drugs, and at least she didn't put me in sped program. I mean, like, I don't know, like, I don't know. This world is suffering, I guess, but still, like, the when they get you to choose from the fear, and when they get you to react instead of
Hmm.
think consciously,
Yeah.
that's where they get you. And
Yeah.
it your consent is still required, even though you're not paying attention.
Mm.
So uh, if you notice that they're asking, then you can recognize that's a moment of where you have freedom.
They also trick you as well, you
Yes,
know. Yeah, because you can sign consent forms and not even realize what you're signing. So, you know,
that's true.
this is the period of time now where we have to become more consciously aware. We have to question everything and don't blindly trust what they're telling us. I mean, I don't know about you, Sean, but when I watch a film now, I'm like watching for all the, you know,
I am.
if I happen to see a newspaper on a stand now, I mean, I don't anymore because I don't live in a country where there are newspapers on stands. But if I was back in the
Right.
UK, you can see all the fear words in the front
Oh
page,
man.
the psychology, the programming,
Right.
the terror, the trauma, the shock, you know, I have
Yeah.
a photograph of a newspaper front page and I show it to people and I say, what do you see there? So they just read the headlines and it's like, well, it's a story about, this and this. And I'm just well, look at all the words, like look at the
Mm,
shock, the crisis. It was a Strictly Come Dancing crisis. The something trauma, terror in another part of the page,
right.
so shock, terror, crisis, you know,
Right.
evil. It's
Yeah.
all there, but you're not reading it as one sentence, but your subconscious is. So it's like
Yes.
that's how the programming happens.
Right. And with the newspaper, it's everywhere on like in the city, it's like at every street corner, there's those
Yes.
honor boxes there. And
Yeah.
it's like, so I actually used to deliver newspapers, the big bundles to the stores in the morning. Like at 2 in the
Hmm.
morning, I would like drive the truck and I used to see like I would like, okay, New York Times, Boston Globe, Washington Post, blah, blah, blah. And like when the big stuff happened, I would see all that crap and I would be like deep into the rabbit holes of truth at that point, and I'd be like, oh, look, it was exciting. And actually, January 1, 2016, I saw that they had a burning tower on every newspaper, and I recognized that this is an occult symbol, and this
Hmm.
was one of those like for the people who with eyes to see. They put it there on
Hmm. Hmm.
purpose. The first day of
Hmm.
January 2016, burning tower, and then I reckon, and then like later I went and did some research and uh, on 9/11 they called Donald Trump and they asked him, they were like, oh, you got a tower, and oh, what would you do if you were president? And he was like, oh, I'd be flying F-16s, like what, so they were layering it in, and so like then it came January 1, and he was like in the primaries and shit, and it was just a joke. But
Hmm.
then all of those things on the newspaper, and then Trump gets elected 2016, and it's the 16th Trump card is the burning tower. 16th. I'm like, what the fuck? So like, so the newspapers have the code
Hmm.
for that type of, if you
Predictive
can,
programming.
yeah, if you yeah, I know it's not the topic that we were talking about, but that's like those newspapers are like they don't make them anymore. It's weird that because of the computers, but newspapers was a view, and because it was on every street corner, it was like an announcement by the dark occult.
Yes.
They would put their stuff there on the front page and the programming and all the other pages. Yeah, right.
So, what gives me hope now is when you look on Facebook or other social media, I'm sure still applies, is, when the Daily Mail or the Mirror put out some warning about some another virus or whatever, so many people are now just calling out bullshit.
Yeah, that's
Like,
right.
there's
Yeah,
nobody going, oh, shock horror, I must go and get another vaccine. It's like everybody's bullshit, 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 bullshit,
right.
lies, 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 not falling for that again, blah, blah, blah. So the good news is people are waking up now. And, the fact that we are able to have this conversation about, circumcision and, the reasons why it's done just goes to show really that they are losing their power
That's
because
right.
like a few years ago we would have been highly censored for all of this. So
Right. Yeah, that they overplayed their hand. I mean,
mhm.
it seems like it was just a bunch of arrogant punks, like all the last generation of the world leaders have all passed on, like
Mm.
Brzezinski and the other ones, and now it's like the punk kids that grew up in the with the trust funds and stuff. They're like, oh yeah, we got power now. They're just ripping the ripcord and now, you know. But Yeah, at least, like I said, at least we can change the circumcision thing. Like, I mean, and
Yeah, we
as
can
long
change
as,
it all.
and while we're, the awareness comes in all facets.
Mm.
Once you start, oh yeah, I don't trust the medical. Oh yeah, I don't trust the financial. Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't trust the government. Like, and it goes on, and it
Mm-hmm.
because once you start recognizing like how to discern the truth instead of
Yes.
just following, then it all like then you can put the pieces where they belong and get to see the whole picture.
Yes.
And this circumcision one is a glaring piece
Yes.
right in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody wants to look at it because of such trauma. That's,
Yes.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why I like look into, I don't like trauma, but I look into trauma all with my show, and I learn about the facets of the mind and what it does, uh, because that's the main key of how they rule us.
Exactly.
It
Exactly. So I think that, sorry, Sean, this would be a
No,
good point in time to tell people where they can find your show. And if you want to give a little, a little explanation about some of the interviews that are on your podcast there, that would be really good.
sure. My like you said earlier, Wake the Dead is the
Hmm.
title of my podcast. They
And if
can
you head to
find.
one side, they can see it written
Oh
behind
yeah,
you. There you
yeah,
go.
that's my poster. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if I sell posters anymore. Anyway, I'm working with a new t-shirt company, and this is looking promising, and he's a fine gentleman, and he's got a good company going, and I think that we can make good stuff. So hopefully we'll have more posters again. But anyway, yeah, if they want t-shirts, they can click on there's my main page where they can find everything is onegreatworknetwork.com/Sean-McCann. And I
Okay.
post all my stuff there. There's a donate button there. There's a t-shirt merchandise as well. I do anarchist designs. This actually, my mother drew the bird, and I put the other elements together.
Oh, mother.
She's amazing. Oh yeah, she like in 1 hour. In 1 hour, she sat down in front of the TV instead of knitting. She's like, "All right, I'll do it." Anyway, I do love her. I miss her, and that's why I use the picture for my podcast logo. But anyway, so yeah, onegreatworknetwork.com/Sean-McCann,
Yeah.
and you can find Wake the Dead on Spotify and Google and all the audio podcasts. And uh, I also post videos to Odyssey, BitChute, Rumble, and sometimes YouTube. So
Wow. Well, I should be posting the link below to our interview, but also to your podcast
yes,
page. So,
yes. Oh, and what the interviews? You asked a little explanation for the interviews. Like we spoke with you. Want
hmm.
to learn about birth trauma and the psychology. I've spoken with that there are many shows that I've done with good friends where we talk about uh, ancient history. We talk about generational Satanism. We talk about trauma-based mind control, dissociative identity disorder programming. Talk about military mind control, and been doing this series with William Ramsey and Hans Utter about Manchurian Candidate and everything related to the government, mind control, hypnosis, trauma-based mind control. There was this paper from 1920s, like 1929 or something, where they're talking about uh, breaking the legs of a clown. Like a parent broke their child's legs so it would grow up to be like a cripple, and so it would make more money as a clown. And that was like the little blurb as to like what they're doing and like an
Hmm.
explanation. And so we get deep into like these understanding the nature of slavery, human slavery, and trying to help to bring, we have a moral focus, and I believe that a moral life, and that's how to have freedom. That's where freedom comes from, is, and that's where you get trust and all the good things, it
Yes.
starts with morality.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna love others and treat them like we would like to be treated, I own my body, you own yours, and my baby owns his. And
Yeah.
so if we're gonna do no harm, we should start with our babies, you know.
Exactly. So I always say you first have to accept where you are and what's going on before you can change it. So, Sean, thank you for sharing your knowledge with us today, and at least hopefully taking a few more people into waking up and being a little bit more aware that this is not a good practice to be doing to your newborn baby or any child at any age, but specifically newborn babies. So, thank you for all that you're doing. And I know that we're going to have another podcast together at some point in the future. So,
Yes, I look forward to that. I hope we do
yes.
soon.
All right, my dear. So, thank you everybody for listening. And Sean, big respect to you, my darling.
Thank you, Sharon. This has been wonderful. Thank you.